Fox News trolled Bernie Sanders here with a really silly argument about climate science and how they perceive that he's a hypocrite. Take a look.
Senator Bernie Sanders won't stop talking about climate change.
You don't
Donald
know
Trump
anything about
spoke
him.
last night, but somehow he forgot to mention the words climate change. What an outrage.
Climate change is causing devastating problems in our country and the world. The future of the planet is at stake. Climate change is directly related to the growth of terrorism.
Okay, turns out Sanders is so concerned about climate change that he spent nearly $300,000 in 9 days flying around on private jets. Here with reaction, Mark Morano. He is the executive director of ClimateDepot.com and the author of the politically incorrect guide to climate change. Mark, I thought private jets contributed to climate change.
Yeah, according to Greenpeace, they're 10 times worse than train travel. And the most significant quote that Bernie Sanders has given, I think it was during the 2016 campaign, he doesn't take money from fossil fuel companies because they're destroying the planet. No, he doesn't take money from them, but he pays them. And actually, if you go back to 2016, it was in excess of $1 million that he paid for his private jets through the 2016 campaign. This latest figure was just helping other candidates during the midterms in 2018. So he has a long history of paying fossil fuel companies to fly him around in a private jet. He loves fossil fuels.
Well, the Sanders campaign came out with this statement. This expense was for transportation for the senator's 9-day, 9-state tour to support Democratic candidates up and down the ballot ahead of Election Day. Well, I can understand that because you got to be in a bunch of different places, you know, back to back to back. And, you know, we're all for private jets, but there is some hypocrisy going on here, isn't there?
He's taken a pledge during the 2016 campaign to be carbon neutral, and he gave a lot of criticism because I don't think Hillary signed on right away. Well, the way he's able to achieve his carbon neutrality, he takes a page from Al Gore. He paid less than $5,000, I believe it was like $4,900, to a company called Native Energy, and therefore they absolved him of all his carbon dioxide sins and emissions.
Wait a minute, the carbon credit, right? How does that work? I spent $300,000 on jet travel, and I'm going to give some company $5,000 to do what?
Well, they do all kinds of things. Sometimes they plant trees in Africa. They invest. I believe the company he invested in was putting in some kind of sand water filter. You know, investing in some technology in Africa to help Africans, and they do anything they can to support renewable energy, solar, wind. It's just a way you can greenwash your money, if you will, to another company. You get a little certificate. You can tell people you're carbon neutral, and then all your sins of emissions have been forgiven.
It doesn't sound as if you are letting Bernie off the hook regarding that.
No, in fact, Bernie comes from a long line. Just last month, the UN environmental chief had to resign for being up in the air 80% of the time. The UN internal audit said he was an embarrassment. You have Leonardo DiCaprio, who flies 8,000 miles to pick up an environmental award. You have John Travolta, who actually is the only one who gets the hypocrisy of this issue. He said he's not the best spokesman for climate change, even though he's a big activist, because he flies jets around. He's got a whole airline hangar in his home. You have Al Gore, who lives in private jets and flies all around with a huge carbon emissions.
Never die.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, who just went to the UN summit in Poland and called President Trump crazy for not believing in climate change. He commuted daily to the governor's mansion when he was governor, at the same time touting his global warming bill. There's a total disconnect between what they claim to be doing and what the reality is. They want everyone else to give up fossil fuels. They themselves are unwilling to make an ounce of change in their lives.
It's almost indescribable how ridiculous that segment is. And they do this all the time. And they think it's a serious, like, got you! Oh, bitch! You have to get places. You get places. You also believe in climate change. When you get places, you do it. Yeah, you know, there are some problems that literally cannot be solved on the individual level. Now, that's not my opinion. That's not a question. That's a fact. We cannot, through individual force of will, you know, make personal decisions that can lead to the reduction of emissions enough to actually fight climate change. It can't happen. Won't happen. It's not possible. You want to know how I know? 100 companies, 100, are responsible for 71% of global emissions. So, bottom line is, and Bernie knows this better than anybody, some problems are bigger than individuals. It is an actual societal issue. Now, I get it. Because of their ideology, they think like, no, everything always comes back to just the individual level. But, you know, I don't dissent here, but that's just wrong. There are some things that you have to tackle as a society. It's like saying, you know, on one, like, go pick up your 22 rifle and just go fight them. Like, well, no, you actually needed organization from the top. You needed an actual military response. It needed to be strategic. It was a societal issue. Climate change is similar in that sense. It is a societal issue. You need serious top-down reform, and yes, it needs to be specifically targeted on the people who are doing the emissions. The 100 companies that are responsible for 71% of global emissions. And sure, can we come up with new modes of transportation that are green modes of transportation? Yeah, but they don't exist now. So your hypocrisy burn is not as much of a burn as you think it is. If anything, it just exposes you to be vapid dolts. Or just like you're fishing, like, is there anything I can get? This is the best you have. This is the best they have on Bernie Sanders. This and you own 2 or 3 houses, even though one of them was handed down to Jane from her dead parents, and they're all actually relatively, you know, inexpensive, relatively speaking, and also he is one of the poorest members of the Senate. But 3 houses. Oh. No, he's not. That you can't even theoretically connect that to something that he has done. There's no connection. But they think it's like Bernie Sanders hates wealth completely, and that's why it sucks. He had 3 houses, and that's why he's a hypocrite. Has Bernie Sanders proposed a no 3 houses bill? Has Bernie Sanders actually said he doesn't like all rich people? I've never heard Bernie Sanders go after some genius surgeon. I've never heard Bernie Sanders go after LeBron James. I've never heard Bernie Sanders go after a high-paid lawyer. No, it's not like he's against all wealth. So, in other words, they strawman your beliefs, and then they'll, based off of the strawman, they use that to try to hypocrisy burn you. It's like a fallacy within a fallacy. Aha! We got you, even though we didn't get you at all, and we just made it up. But we got you. Shut the fuck up.
Do something.
They took time to do that. Like, oh. He thinks climate change is real and we should attack it. And he also has to go on planes to get places. You know what my response to that is?
Team up for special attack.
Bitch. One more thing. This reminds me of Matt Bohr's comment. It's made its rounds on Twitter because it's just that perfect. Because this is like the core of so many arguments from the right. This dude, he's working. He looks like and he's doing a bunch of work. He's saying in the little bubble that like we should improve society somewhat, and then some guy with like a shit-eating grin pops up
never die.
and says something like, "Yet you participate in it. I'm intelligent." So it's like, well, of course, by definition, we have to participate in society. So to say, hey, we should maybe change things up a little bit and improve things. If you're going to use the fact that we live in a society that is not perfect, to then say you're a hypocrite for wanting to improve it because you live in this current society, that's not a point. That's really silly. And that's like, you're bending over backwards to try to... You're working backwards from your conclusion and you're going into it trying